Hey, good morning, team, and welcome to week three, already week three of OS 330 Talent Management. This week we're going to talk about giving feedback to employees, and we're going to talk about some coaching techniques. Now, there's a difference between coaching and mentoring, and I want everybody to understand what the difference is, because these are both very important terms in the business world right now, right? So a coach is somebody that gets you to a specific goal or a specific milestone. So, for instance, a baseball coach is going to get you to the World Series, hopefully. Somebody that is going to coach you in your career, they're going to maybe coach you to the next advancement cycle, right? Or the next milestone in your career for that. Let's say you're an assistant professor and you want to be a full professor. They're going to coach you to those milestones. Vice a mentor. A mentor is somebody that you make a personal connection with that is going to mentor you throughout your career. So it's kind of more like a friend. And so here's a big difference, right? So think about this. If you are a computer programmer, or let's say a training specialist, that's even better because I can relate with that, right? So here you are, a training specialist at a hospital. You know, I'm going to use my local hospital of Westerly. You might be the only training specialist there, and that's very common, right? So who's going to give you career advice? Who's going to tell you about how to implement a new training program at Westerly Hospital? There's nobody else. You're it. If you want to know what's happening in the training world, you have to join outside organizations like American Society for Training and Development or ISPI, the International Society for Performance Improvement. You are it. So let's say you want to introduce Blackboard into Westerly Hospital to train the medical staff. You have to write the budget. You have to convince people who may not even know what that is and the applicability. So you should seek out a mentor, somebody in the training community to help you with these tough decisions. And this is also important when doing evaluations, because if you are the only training specialist and you are busting your butt, the person writing your evaluation may have no idea what it means. They may be sitting there saying, okay, well, you implemented Blackboard. Whoop-de-doo. What does it do for us? You know, or what they may not know the alternatives. They may not know that you could have went with a free system like Moodle for a learning management system and saved the company, thousands of dollars. They may not know that. So mentors, that's where they really come in, especially if you're, in the military, what we call independent duty. You are one person in your specialty, and you might be. So this chapter, we're going to explore that. So anyways, I just got back from San Antonio, and believe it or not, this is my trip was somehow related to talent management, and hopefully I can relate that. So what I did down there is I looked at some military courses at the Army Medical Emergency, I don't know, it's called AMEDS, and it's their field medical technicians. Now, I know nothing about that. I was looking to see if there was any leadership management skills in there, and there were. So anyways, let me tell you what these guys do. This is like a huge school. Their annual student throughput is like 10,000 per year. They take 18 and 19-year-old kids that are just joined the Army, and within a year, they make them a specialist in, let's say, radiology, in urology, in veterinarian science. They're not doctors, but there was a nurse practitioner course that we evaluated. There was it was just amazing. I'll post some photos of the simulator. So here they are, and these kids have to learn, for instance, how to put an IV in while you're flying in a helicopter moving around. They have to learn how to field dress somebody under fire in Afghanistan and put tourniquets on. There's a whole rules of engagement. Who do you treat while under fire? How do you set up field tents? So anyways, I'll post some pictures, and it was pretty darn amazing for me. I didn't even know, I never been exposed to it. So anyways, how does this relate to talent management? Because what I do with this part-time gig as an evaluator, we look at all the learning outcomes of these courses, and through our experience, we relate this to comparable college courses and say, okay, well, these courses could be translated into 2 credits at lower division in principles of management, for instance, right? And this also works with civilian classes too. So if you had to take, I don't know, an HR course when you worked at Walmart, it might be worth college credit, and it's something to look into. So anyways, we have to coach and make these recommendations based on the learning outcomes. So they assess based on what they need for mission completeness, right? And then we kind of coach and say, well, if you did this, if you asked more open-ended question, you could have got this credit or whatever. And that's sometimes a very difficult situation because we don't want to tell them what to do. That's their job. We're just making a recommendation. But they want that feedback. So that's kind of what you're going to explore this week, is how to give that difficult feedback. There's a funny video too on Crucial Conversations, and that's very common. And if you get a chance, read that book, Crucial Conversations by Kerry Patterson. It's a very good book on how do you address these very difficult things. So, for instance, when we give feedback, right, we're very good at giving feedback on competencies. For instance, you did this wrong. If you tighten this tourniquet so much tighter, you wouldn't have had this much blood loss. We're really good at competency, but when we have to give feedback on character, that's tough because nobody wants to give it, nobody wants to receive it, because here you are now telling somebody, well, I think you're lazy, or, to be so blunt, or I think, if you spent more time on your personal dress, you would look more professional. That type of feedback hurts. It's important, but it hurts to give feedback on character. And it opens up the person giving the feedback, because usually the first thing the receiver of that feedback does is they judge the other person. And it's not about them, this is feedback, and this is during your evaluations. Not only do you have to judge competency, but you have to judge character, and you have to give that feedback. And when you watch that video on Crucial Conversations, look at that. How would you give feedback to that person who looks very sloppy but thinks he's doing a really great job? It's important, So anyways, yeah, that's what happened this week. So Monday is final census day, and yeah, so good stuff going on. I love reading the discussion boards. Lots of great conversation going on back and forth. I'm really happy with it. We got a lot of experience in this class, so keep sharing. Okay, see you online. Dave out.